welcome to this edition of Tech Talk. I am Pankaj Gupta, SAP HANA and Cloud Solution Enterprise Architect. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about cloud computing from a beginner's perspective. If you like the content of this video, do subscribe to my channel, PG Creations. Leave your comments, provide your feedback, and press the bell icon for new and freshly brewed content. Thank you. I'm sure all of us have heard the term cloud or cloud computing at some stage of our lives. And most of us are still confused about what is cloud computing. What is the difference between computing on premises versus cloud computing? In today's episode, I'm going to talk about the evolution of cloud computing, in general, what is cloud computing, and some of the popular cloud providers in today's time. Computing in general has evolved over the last 7 decades. The early computing machines were invented in the 1930s and 40s when large machines were created which used gears, levers, punch card, and these were some of those Jacquard looms and other machines which contained the information to put the print and design on the fabric. Now, some of these machines were limited to the extent that the design that was built into the machine was only good until that design was produced on the fabric. In order for the design to be changed on the fabric, it needed to be programmed again. It was not a multi-user kind of an environment, and it was very cumbersome to build and reprogram it. Then came the time of mini and mainframe computers. This happened in the 1940s, and IBM was the pioneer in building the next generation of computing machines. These used the concept of time slice and multi-user environments. This led to the next generation of computing environment, which is known as the client-server technology. It started in the 1980s and pretty much still continues till today. Most of the client-server technology was on premises. Enterprises, small, medium, and large, built large data centers and installed or implemented this client-server technology, which utilized a large number of hardware, including servers, storage, and networking. Following the client-server technology came the hosted computing, in which enterprises built large-scale data centers in remote places of the world, and these were basically co-hosted or tenanted environments. The only difference between the on-premises client-server concept and the hosted computing was that enterprises no longer had the hardware installed on their own premises. It was hosted at somebody else's place, but pretty much it served the same purpose. In the 2000 came the software-defined virtual data center. This started using the virtualization technology, and the concept was brought because a lot of the hardware that hosted the client-server technology was underutilized with monolithic applications and led to a lot of compute hardware being underutilized until virtualization came on, and a lot of applications could be co-hosted in what was known as virtual machines or containers. And this led to the development of the software-defined virtual data center. Cloud computing has been evolving over the last 10 years, and it is largely an extension of the software-defined virtual data centers. In cloud computing, it is no longer limited to just the client-server technology or the moving of the compute hardware into the cloud, but a lot of other services are also included into the cloud environment. And a lot of these services are basically from the concept of providing as a service. If you look at the board, you would realize that on the evolution side, I have talked about the evolution of large machines, the mainframe, client server, hosted computing, software-defined virtual data center, and cloud computing. Cloud computing is still evolving, and at the rate at which it is growing, it seems that over the course of next 10 years, it will pretty much take over a lot of on-premises data center-based computing or information technology. What is then cloud computing? Well, if you look at the board, basically what it means is that a consumer, you and me, is pretty much consuming the services which is supplied by a cloud provider from the cloud. Now, this could be our servers. This could be a service such as our emails like Outlook. It could be online shopping. It could be a storage such as Dropbox, so on and so forth. So what exactly is cloud computing? Well, cloud computing is also shared services. So basically what it means is that it is not one person's environment. A lot of people are basically connected to a certain provider and consuming the services. It is much like we are consuming electricity. It is much like we are consuming heat or water or any other service that is basically coming to our houses through a globally provided or a city provided or a municipality provided services. Think in terms of our cell phone services, or think in terms of our internet services. Who provides it, how it is being provided to us is not such of a concern, is not much of a concern for us. It's basically a consumption model that is what is known as cloud computing. It is of course metered, so which means that you pay for what you use and you don't essentially incur a high charge when you're not using those services. Though of course there is a certain amount of fixed cost that you would have to pay dependent on if you are using the services or not. So if you have your infrastructure in the cloud, it is consumption based, and if you have an infrastructure in the cloud that you're not using it, what you should be doing is that you should either take it down, you should either delete it, because there is going to be a fixed cost for any infrastructure, resources, or objects that you have created in the cloud. Cloud also means that you can rapidly expand, scale up the resources that you're consuming. So for example, if you have a small, medium, or large enterprise, and if at certain times during the year you experience a large surge in consumption of your services or a website that you're producing, and you see during Black Friday, during Christmas times, you could expand your services pretty rapidly, and you don't have to go through a gestation period or a long implementation or a long acquisition period, which was typically the case for a physically implementation on the on-premises infrastructure. And other thing is that you could tear down the cloud environment pretty rapidly and pretty fast. If you don't need it, you could just mere click of a few buttons and the entire set of resources would be deleted, and there would be no further presence on the cloud. So you could basically get rid of all the cost that you are incurring for an environment that was only supposed to be up there for a month or so. What are some of the more popular cloud providers? I'm sure everybody has heard the name of Amazon or Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud Platform, Salesforce, Customer Relationship Management Portal, Alibaba, and many more, such as Dropbox, such as Outlook.com, such as Microsoft Office 365, Microsoft Dynamics, and there are tons and tons of other such providers. Most of these services today are hosted on the cloud, and the services are basically distributed across the globe, and so you really don't know where these services are coming from. You consume those services, and you just pay for what you're consuming. Cloud is evolving, and a number of services are now being offered by these cloud providers. The rate at which cloud is growing, the number of services are only growing by the day. It won't be long before most small, medium, and large enterprises would find it very difficult not to take the benefit of cloud service providers. However, there are certain organizations such as banks, government, and other enterprises who still consider their data to be sovereign, and they want to still keep the security of the data to their on-premises and or region-based or country-based. And under such circumstances, they still have a logical reasoning for physical data center computing on premises. Cloud providers are coming up with a unique solution to that problem. They are coming up with hybrid cloud computing, in which organizations can have private clouds on premises and public clouds, and they can basically tether the two cloud systems in such a manner that it becomes seamless to move the workloads between on-premises and cloud environment. Therefore, creating a single environment for such organizations. Cloud computing is therefore here to stay now. And it would be interesting to know more about the different offerings and the different services offered by cloud providers. In the next episode, I'm going to talk about the various types of cloud computing. Thank you for watching this video. Do let me know how you found the content of this episode of Tech Talk, and continue to subscribe to PG Creations. Thank you so much.